when assessing Jane, I felt the need to think outside of the box and to do something a little bit out there, considering she really struggles with staying focused, staying on task, and is so easily distracted. So I wanted to do something that was very hands-on and very engaging for her. So I took something that I regularly do with my kids in my classroom as a study game, which is called Trash Get Ball. All it is you give them a question. If they get it right, they get to wad it up, shoot it in the basket. If they get it, their team gets a point. You go to the end of the game. The team with the most points gets a bonus point on their test. That's the general overview of Trash Get Ball. But I wanted to take that and kind of tailor it more towards her specific needs. And I also wanted to incorporate the lesson that I observed her in, so that possibly maybe this could actually help her out in her current studies. So in her science class, which is where I observed her, they are studying food webs at the moment. For example, an autotroph is something that creates its own food, where a heterotroph gets its energy by eating other organisms, and so forth and so on. And so what I did was I met with her teacher. I made up 10 pretty basic questions over the general fundamentals of the lessons that were being covered in her class. From there, I met with Jane and we wadded up all 10 of those questions. And she doesn't know what any of the questions are, and she gets to shoot. She shoots, she misses the first one. That's okay. She picks the next one up, shoots, misses it, so forth, so on, until she makes one. When she makes one, she goes to the basket, picks it up, we open up, we read the question, and we answer it. I document on my little chart if she answered it correctly, and then we discuss the question. We move that one to the side. We gather all the remaining questions, even the ones that she's already shot. We went back and get them. We start over again until we make it all the way through the 10 questions. Now, I will say this first go around of 10 took significantly longer than I had anticipated, and that will be one of the things that I modify if I use this assessment again. So I probably will not start with 10 questions, or either I won't let them continue shooting until they get them all. I'll cap it at a certain amount. But so forth and so on. This is the process that we went through. Every one that she made, we went in, we opened it up, we read the question, she answered the question, I detailed whether or not it was correct, and then till we made it all the way through 10. Then we started all over again in the same exact process. Every time we would come to a question that we had answered, I would mark if she missed it again or if she correctly got it again. So we actually go through this 3 times. Once again, and doing this again, I will 100% bring this down a notch. It took far longer than I anticipated. But that was how the assessment went. At the end, I was able to look and see, was she able to ever recall any of that information? I also marked if she struggled reading the questions, if she was able to comprehend the questions. Did she have to ask me, what does this mean? Which she did several times. And so I was just able to see that if there was a progression or if it was a continuous struggle through each round of this game. With Jane, there was little progression. There was a significant struggle. Now, there were a few questions that when she got it. And she would be really excited when she would get those questions because she knew it. But I would say 80%, so 8 out of 10 questions, she missed all 3 times. So I think this does go along, and it does coincide with her test that she really does have comprehension questions or comprehension issues. She has memory recall issues. Something else that wasn't really noted for the assessment, but just something that I observed, which is an assessment in and of itself, is that her reactions to getting the questions right or wrong socially were not acceptable behaviors. It was something that you would expect of maybe a kindergartner at times. Fits for getting it wrong, or excessive celebration for getting it right, or excuses for getting it wrong, and so forth and so on. But that is how I assessed Jane. And I do, like as I stated, I do think it shows and goes along to prove that her testing results were indeed correct. I do think after doing this, something that I could recommend as a way to help Jane is routine, is something that maybe every day she comes in, or she grabs, and she does it daily. I also think that she's much more of a visual learner. Reading those questions, she really struggled even understanding what they were asking. Even though on the third round we had done this 2 times already, she still struggled understanding the questions. So I think if her questions can be maybe asked of her instead of her just having to read it, if the teacher can ask her questions, as well as if we can put some kind of visual representation on there, a picture, for example, an autotroph, maybe a picture of a plant, and a heterotroph, a picture of a lion or something. I think that will help her understand the concept significantly more than just reading it from the book or the notes, or even just hearing it from a lecture, because she really struggles.